Oh, baby. Can you guys hear anything?
Yes, I can hear you.
I hear a dog barking.
I'm gonna get that window.
There we go. Well, anyways, hello everybody and welcome. So I couldn't hear the intro song, so I was like, "You guys, did you hear it, Frank?" Oh wow, that's a trip. So anyway, my speakers are working. I can hear y'all.
Hey.
Technical difficulties on this side. So what's new with you, Frank?
Not much, just hanging out and trying to live my life. I had my birthday,
your-
so I turned 53 this week.
Ooh, wow.
Happy birthday, Frank.
Thank you.
Yes. Hell of a party.
Was it?
Thank you. Yes, it was
Celebration.
good.
Keep celebrating every day. Thank you for joining us. Yes, two of my favorite
Yeah,
people.
it's actually been a minute. It's been a minute since I got to join in on the conversation, so I'm glad I could be here.
Yeah,
Right.
most definitely. It looks like you're talking and then it's a little forwarded, but it's okay.
Like a kung fu
Maybe
movie?
am I still like Kung Fu?
You're moving, it's just
Right.
late.
Oh,
But it's okay.
No, I'm gonna be in and out.
okay.
I'll
Carlos
be
in and out.
because don't trip. I got a strong signal on my end. It's allergies. I don't know what is in the air, but everybody's sneezing and
I for sure could not stop. I was like, it's not COVID, it's allergies. Because it was hella
Nope.
windy. All this wind's getting picked up, all the dirt in the air.
And all these fires we've been having lately too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything burning that I'm allergic to.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd Frank go?
Coming back.
There he is.
I think I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna come back on because my thing has like a lag. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
How do I look to you, Carlos? Am I talking at the same speed?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good. On mine, it looks great.
Yeah, maybe it was Patty's. I feel like my internet's been pretty reliable.
Right?
So I'm hoping to be okay for you all tonight. Don't got a lot to say. Hopefully I could say something.
Right.
Man, we're dropping on a lot of knowledge.
Miss Patty's got a lot to say.
Yes, I do.
Hey.
And there's a lot of also back end work, Frank, that you've been leading. And even though, we talk about this, there's still a whole community that doesn't know. Like they think that, oh, the racist texts were exposed and that's it. No. They're getting away with a lot of stuff. And so it's important for us to talk about, one, the Police Oversight Commission, why it was established, when it was established, what does it mean, what's their power. Let's talk about the city council meeting coming up. Andrew Becker may be joining us tonight. He dropped a nugget at the last city council meeting about a big project coming up. And Andrew Becker does his research on properties and investments, but ultimately for affordable housing and to house the houseless. And then also the school board, there's going to be a school board meeting next week, and it's the first one of the year. So that's huge, given where we left off. So those are the things that we could definitely talk about. I want to talk about a potential action. Maybe we could just brainstorm about the next rally that we need to activate people in our little community. Because that is our right. I'm a combat veteran and I fought for our rights to protest and use our rights. And there's a lot of people that died for our freedoms. And guess what? We're going to keep exercising them. So with that, we have our amazing panel tonight. Carlos, Don Tacos, Don Carlos, hooking us up and just having us connected, because otherwise you have these crazy people out here in the little blog spaces that create false narratives and try to paint a picture of the disgusting bunch that they are and what they did here. So this is our platform that we're going to use to empower, inform, inspire our community to get engaged, get connected, know about what's going on, because we have rights, we have duties to do our due diligence. And even if you're not a citizen of the United States, you still have rights in this country. Better believe that. Frank is a hardcore activist, one of my heroes, like native land, dude. He's like a freaking revolutionary, Native American, hella Black Lives Matter movement. And yeah, Frank, what should we talk about? Should we talk about well, your birthday? Happy birthday again.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot to talk about out here. But I think the number one thing, as you were just mentioning, is to remember that our democracy is not a spectator sport. And if you want to see the change that you want, you have to participate. That could be just as simple as getting out to vote, or you could participate at a deeper level, as most of us do. You get out to your city council meetings. You might find a candidate that you support, and you might be willing to go the extra mile for them, knocking on doors, putting out literature. You might want to do something not as political, but still community oriented. Carlos, you've been out in the community many times and feed our unhoused folks down here right by my house. You've worked at the COC. So there's a lot of things to do to be part of our democracy. And as it grows right now, because we're heading into a presidential election, you just should remember that the original thought of democracy was that people would contribute their voice. Everybody's voice should be heard. A quick plug for my my coworker Mitch Jeserich from KPFA had a great show today on a show called Letters in Politics, and it talked about 1,000 years in North America, what it was like from 1024 and the people that were here at that time until 2024. And I can't remember the guest's name. When someone else starts talking, I'll look for the link and I'll share it with y'all. But it was a great conversation about like how our nation was created, who was here before that, how democracy and how indigenous cultures, how their democracy worked and people were heard. And one example I'll relate real quick was some native folks that this is an example that was in the show today. Some native folks were invited to a sermon, and someone had kind of preached, and Carlos, you might relate to this. Someone had kind of preached from like the, I don't want to say the altar. What's that called where they stand at? The pulpit. Someone kind of, kind of preached from the pulpit to the group of Native Americans. And one thing that they said was unusual to them was that where they communicate, people talk back and everybody's heard. So that was just, one thing that she mentioned today of part of our democracy is that folks should be heard. And, it's just leading into 2024, I feel like, as a lot of people are saying, this is going to be another big one. And as a lot of people like to say each year or each election cycle, it's the biggest one of our life. But if you want to have a part in that, you need to participate. And again, that could be voting, helping a candidate. You could just get people, you could be nonpartisan and just register people to vote. Stuff
I'll be working the booth this year again.
Yeah, I went to vote last year. I'm registered, but I went to vote last year and there was Carlos to take my vote. So you can be involved in being a poll worker. There's so much that you can do to make our process work. Yeah. And it can be totally nonpartisan if you want to be.
Right.
100%. I've done the poll thing and it's a great experience. I've worked the polls.
Right. You might want to rephrase that.
I know the crazies are going to be like, oh, she was a stripper.
The voting polls, everybody. Cochinos.
I would.
And another great example I'll throw out real quick was here in District 1 when we had our last big elections when Tamisha was elected the first time.
Against Joy Motts and Diane Gibson Gray.
Yeah. So right? they had a recount. And so
I remember
participating in our democracy, a lot of us went out there to watch them count the ballots because we know a lot of the opponents, I will say, went out there. I think the Antioch Herald guy was out there. I'm blanking on his name.
Alan Payton.
So Alan Payton was there watching signatures, and he was calling. He saw a funny signature or something funny, and that he thought might change the vote one way or another. He called it. So yeah, it's that's another way to participate, is to be a poll watcher. We went out there and watched them count the votes, and we could actually look at the process, because it was kind of a new experience for me to do that part and to hear a lot of the election scam the last big presidential election.
What happened in Georgia and across?
Yeah, when you can see how it works. There's two people sitting there. They flip a card over, they look at it, and they see who it's voted for. Then they both agree. Then they put it in that person's pile. And then they either agree or they disagree. If they have a disagreement, they take a second look. Other people look. Then they call in their supervisor. That person looks. And then it either goes to one pile or the other. Yeah. And in fact, in that close call, I think it was only a race by like 5 or 6 votes. And in the end, after witnessing that between Tamisha and Joy, Tamisha got 1 extra vote. So it was just it was just another
people.
Yeah, and it was just another part of the process to see, again, that was the first time I ever did something like that. I went and watched them count the votes, and it was interesting to see, to say the least.
Right.
I love that. I love that you say, we can all do our little part, and in many these spaces are out there, but it's just important for people to know that if we don't push these policies or push for the people that are for the people, for policies for the people, it's going to be business as usual, and they are going to fight hard to get their town back. In many ways, it's really, I'm really scared. I'm not super scared, just a little bit, knowing how these people get down. To the community out there on my Instagram, thank you for tapping in. I have Frank here. Frank, you had some shout outs on my Instagram. They're like, hey, Frank, because they could hear your voice. They're like, hey, it's Frank. Hey, Frank.
Hey. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Just dropping some knowledge on our rights as citizens and community members, and what we can do to make our community a better place for everyone. Because as Frank mentioned, there's people in our community that are aligned with terrorizing community members. That, for a long time, during our Black Lives Matter, Hold Police Accountable marches, there was a lot of hate. There was a lot of misinformation that was spread. Frank and others attacked by them, physically assaulted multiple times, eggs, in person, tased. And
let's mention one of those guys who came down there in their Blue Lives Matter hat and talked about how we were wrong. Somebody running for mayor now. Yeah.
All right, Ron Bernal, right?
Ron Bernal. Yeah, he came down to talk smack to us wearing a Blue Lives Matter hat. Carlos, you were down there here and there. That was when we kind of first met Carlos. We were kind of on the fence about him. Hey, who is this guy? But yeah, we were down there in 2020 out front of the Antioch Police Department, trying to share our voice and our stories about what our experiences were with the Antioch police and what we believed, and knew, in my heart, what was going on, and now has come to light. And at that time, Ron Bernal, who's now running for mayor, came down with his Blue Lives Matter gear. And he wasn't the only one. Other people, as you mentioned, Patty, came by. They threw eggs at us. There was one guy that would stop by regularly. He was obviously drinking and under the influence. He would peel out in his car. It was one of those backfiring cars that would pow, 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 make that noise. And he was older than me, I felt like, and I'm 53. He was zooming up and down the street, going and speeding around the marina. And when the cops came to talk to him, nothing happened. Even though he was obviously, in my opinion, impaired. So he threatened and said a lot of words. Yeah. So it was definitely quite an experience that year, those years of the protest out there in front of the Antioch Police Department. If some folks remember, we shut down City Hall. We taped it up with caution tape, wouldn't let the workers in till the mayor would come out and talk to us, because at that time, Sean Wright was the mayor and he refused to come meet with the people camping in front of the police department. And yeah, that was it. So we closed the City Hall that day, and the mayor still didn't show up. The police had to come and escort workers through a back door into the city hall, and we were left out there, no answers, nobody to hear our cries.
For the record, there was a night that I had drove by. I was on my way home, and then I saw our former mayor, Sean Wright, putting up his signs. But then he was just kicking it. He was just chilling on the corner where his sign was with the police, and they were just laughing it up. Like they were up in his car window talking, and I went up to them and was like, hey, there's a whole protest. There's people that want to hear from you. But yeah, no, it's deaf ears. Didn't give a shit.
And look what happened though. The next election, he was out.
Out.
And that's the power of our democracy that we're talking about. In that time, Tamisha Torres Walker came to our protest on numerous occasions, spoke very eloquently. I liked when Tamisha spoke at our protest, and one thing she said was that one of us need to run for city council, and if no one does, I'm going to. And she did, and we got her in. And again, this is the power of what democracy we still have. I feel like it's, people say we're flirting with losing it. We may be. And, but at this time, excuse me, bump my mic, but at this time in 2020 and those years, after George Floyd and the protests we had in Antioch, Angelo Quinto, Arturo Gomez Calel, and all the people before.
Wendell Celestine.
Yeah. Raheem Rux. We have our pictures. I haven't looked at them lately, but it's time we look at them. But there was a lot of people that paid with their lives in the lead up, and then during those 3 years, a lot changed because we participated in our democracy. We did our freedom of speech. We were out there protesting. We lobbied our public officials by publicly calling them out, saying, "Hey, this is what we're asking. This is our experiences. What will you do about it?" And in the end, our city council ended up flipping politically barely. Instead of being like a 4-1 or a 4-2 vote, 3-2 vote, it flipped to a 3-2 or 3-1, where the more progressives, I guess I would call it, were on our favor, voting for police reform, voting for body cameras, voting to ban chokeholds.
Yeah. And if that hadn't happened, I would put money that the body cameras, the dash cameras, the 100% implementation of them would not have happened. That technology has been around for so long. How convenient and disgusting for them to cover up their dirt. What's up, Nugget?
Let me go check. It might be my sister. Let me go look. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, that was
I was all muted. I'm all talking. I hate that.
You're good. I saw your message in the chat.
You did, yep.
Okay.
So, trying to get a surprise guest.
Yes, we love surprises. ¿Qué más? 2020 actions. I had something on my mind about.
Nobody there.
Okay. Ooh, it's a ghost.
Well, there's voices out there, so Nugget is barking at something, but it's not my sister.
It was either the cucuy or the chupacabra.
Or La Llorona.
Or La Llorona, yeah. That's our three.
Mistaken. Let me look again.
Then my dog's gonna start barking because he's gonna.
I know, right?
Man, it's a trip. 4 years. It's been 4 years since I met, since I activated and met all you beautiful people throughout. But we've come a long way, and we just have a a lot at stake because when when we won in 2020, the Crazies did their recall show. They did their recalls, recount. I lost count how many times they tried to campaign for recalls against
I
Timmy
remember
Short
that.
and Mayor Lamar Thorpe. Like they really tried,
They had
and
signature stations everywhere.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but their campaign, because they would say on their things, "We want our town back. Look at all these what do they call us? People that are not from here, not born from here." But that's the thing. That's what makes Antioch beautiful. Everybody's from
Right.
everywhere, from the South, from all over the Bay, from South Bay, East Bay, West Bay, North Bay. Like, yeah, I love what Antioch is today, and I'm thankful for the diversity that I grew up in here in Black Diamond and John Muir Elementary, Deer Valley High School, and just seeing where we are now, though,
Right.
it's there's still a lot left to be done. But if it wasn't for the nonprofit orgs doing these amazing work and providing these resources, much needed resources for the kids, it wouldn't happen because it's not in their benefit.
To go back a little bit, the mayor Lamar is from
Mm.
East LA, and I'm originally from West LA, Venice Beach. But I mean, I've been here 20 years.
Yeah.
And this is my home now. I mean, I'm from there, but I've been lived and I love it here. So
Yeah.
I don't know how long you have to stay in a city to become a citizen for that city, but
look, you pay taxes somewhere, you live, that's it.
right.
Sorry about that. Live radio.
Uh-oh.
Live
Who
podcast. The neighbor's dog got in my backyard and was chasing the cats, so I had to go intervene.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So there's the Police Oversight Commission. Because of all this, there was a police oversight committee that I saw, and I saw it when I was looking for the commission meeting, and I saw Dr. Clyde Lewis, like 2 other people, and then their meetings, they like never met. Because I tried to click it and it said like canceled. So what did they do from 2021?
And I think that's what a lot of us were confused about a few weeks back when they were talking about disbanding that. And we've now created a group that's working, the Police Oversight Committee, but that other group actually formulated but never did any work. So I remember back a little bit after my first attack in 2009, there was moments where we were going to have a Police Oversight Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very intimidating at that time. I went down to speak in favor, obviously, because I was already assaulted at that time. And there was like 4 or 5 officers in the background that I never met and that I didn't know. Now there's someone at my door. And I felt intimidated to go speak, but I did speak out. I'll go get the door. But no one applauded me. In fact, I was almost booed and hissed. And then everybody else spoke out against an oversight committee and they were applauded. I'll be right back. That could be my sister.
Okay. So I know exactly what Frank's talking about. Yeah, it's scary going up to speak publicly, but once you get over that fear, you just got to find your voice. Like, we all have a voice. It's here in our heart. We got to let it out. Like, closed mouths don't get fed. We know we have problems. If we don't speak out about it, it's business as usual, but we disrupted that and we're going to keep going because, I want their pensions. I want them to give their money back to the community, every abusive person.
I got a question for both of you. I don't know if you guys.
Ooh.
So here we go. I hear this everywhere. Well, my vote don't matter because it's rigged. So what do you tell people who think that their vote doesn't matter because they think the whole thing is rigged and the person who's going to win is going to win?
Go ahead, Patty. I'll go after you. Unless you want me to go first, let me know.
Yeah, I think okay, I would say to those people that like it's a big piece. Like, I think that there's a false narrative. That is a false narrative. And And unfortunately, it has plagued communities to feel like, I don't matter. And it worked. But what was different in 2020, I physically heard somebody say, because he saw someone and they were like from the same church, an elderly woman, and this dude, he was like in his 40s, and he was like, that was my first time voting. That was his first time voting. And so he found that voice. There was enough passion for him to feel that his voice mattered. And ultimately, that vote and every single other vote that folks that registered made the changes in Antioch happen. What happened in Antioch, what's happening in Antioch is a microscopic example of things that need to happen across the nation. And so we just need to keep pushing. And if you don't vote, it's a disservice to the community that has been affected by so many injustices. It's a disservice to making sure that funds and taxes and the money that we invest in our city goes to the right places. We have to make sure that we hold people accountable. So yes, your vote counts. People died to vote. People lost their lives to advocate for the right to vote. African Americans couldn't vote. Women couldn't vote. Minorities couldn't vote. Formerly incarcerated people couldn't vote. Laws are changing, times are changing, and every voice matters. Yee. Frank, take it away.
That was good.
Definitely. And on the level of your vote mattering or not, it definitely matters. Look at the example I posted, I talked about earlier with Tamisha and Joy Motz. That was only 6 votes, and I worked hard to, speak to folks. I went door knocking for Tamisha in our district. I did what I could to convince my kids, my relatives, my friends, here's the issues. Here's what Tamisha's doing. Here's what the others are doing, vote, please vote, And as far as what you're saying, Carlos, if I'm not mistaken, about it being rigged and the end result already being predetermined, that's something that's been around also a long time. So I think, that hopefully, as our system is supposed to be, that we could have these checks and balances, that if you feel like there's a complaint, you can file and register what happened. You could see in the last presidential election that Donald Trump lost, he registered his complaints with certain districts, and those districts went through their court processes. They had recounts. They did all kinds of things. And, that's how the process is supposed to work. After the result came back and it was not in his favor, now that was something different we could talk about some other time. But the processes are that if you feel there's something wrong, you can, go through the processes of filing a complaint and getting someone to look at it. If you remember way back with, I think it was Bush and Gore, they had the paper punches that would punch a hole in your vote, and then the paper would drop out like a hole punch. But some of them didn't pop all the way out, and they were dangling. And you could Google the hanging chads, they called them. So if they were dangling but not all the way out, that became a source of contention. I'm not fully up on that, but we know in the end that Bush won and Gore lost, and that changed things at that time. So yeah, that was a little bit different story. Now I think we're super digital. We stick our papers in. I would prefer getting a receipt, having my vote come out like an ATM receipt and says, this is who I voted for. And maybe I can get 2 copies, and I could keep one, and I could drop one in the outgoing ballot box as a, what do they call that? The, after you walk out, the outgoing poll, whatever they call that, it'd be like a backup. So you walk out, you got your copy, you already voted. When you leave, you put your double copy in the outside box, and they have, access to that if they need to double check. Anyways, that's just a thought. It's something I heard before. A bank teller, you can go anywhere, travel throughout the United States, sometimes even internationally. You could put in your card and withdraw some money. It'll tell you how much is in your account, how much you took out, what time it was, and where it was. Why can't they do that with your vote? So that
the technology is there, right?
The technology is there, so we should be able to do that, and we should be able. So I do feel that when we get digital and we get all into the computer systems, that there's room for error. In fact, there was people that were prosecuted for speaking out about tampering with our machines. And I'm trying to think of who it was. It was it might have been a military person. I think it was Reality Winner. I'll look it up while we're talking. And she released some information that said there was election interference.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if it was directly related to the voting machines, but anyways, she released those documents and then went to prison because it was intel. Yeah, because she worked in the intel gathering part of the government. And then when she released it to the press, her identity wasn't kept a secret very well. So I think she's still in prison, probably going on at least 3-4 years.
Wow. To back up a little bit about the receipt thing, I think that's a great idea. I think the only receipt that people get is the I voted sticker. You know, so right, that's their I voted.
Wait, Lion. That's true.
And then the Facebook is all flooded with I voted stickers. So, but yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And then going back to the commission, to the community out there, there's a police oversight commission meeting on Monday, this coming Monday, and we need to be there. We need to be there. And if anybody's ever been violated by the police department, the Antioch Police, and has had any situation, please feel free to reach out. There's some amazing Department of Justice investigators that have arrived, and we're sending them on down to speak to them. So please send me your name and number if you'd like to be connected to these trustworthy investigators that are getting down to the nitty-gritty of every single person.
Where's this going to be at?
Monday, 6:30 p.m. at the City Council, Antioch City Council. I believe it's 210 or 200 H Street. Yeah, we got it down now.
Yeah,
go
ahead, Patty.
No,
I was just gonna say, yeah, I've been attending those commission meetings. I don't think I've missed one yet. I've sometimes had to leave early or came late, but I don't care really which side of the police battle you're on. You could be pro-police, or you could be police reform, complete reform, or abolitionist, whatever you want. Going to the oversight commission meetings really brings you up to date on what's happening with the department. The chief is there. He gives a regular report. He talks about staffing, policy. So, I mean, for me, I feel like it's work, you know, because we're doing this out of a labor of love for our community, but you get to hear actually what's happening. And, you know, people know me. I'm a critic of the police. Not that I hate the police. I hate corrupt, racist, violent, homophobic, dirty police. But when I go down to these meetings, you know, I could interact with Captain V Hill. I could interact with Acting Chief Addington. I could have conversations. I could sometimes interact with new recruits. I think they got the wrong message one time when we, you know, confronted them about their new hiring, and, you know, that we expressed our feelings about knowing what they're entering into. And we asked them to be vigilant themselves, and that if they see something, that they say something. It was misconstrued later in the,
of course it was,
in the other press, but I think that's an important moment for us as a community, especially here in Antioch, where we've been, the community's been harmed and wronged by the police, and they're trying publicly to make a change. When they're bringing in new officers, people like myself who have been violated, harmed, and my life changed by an attack by the police, people who've lost loved ones, they should be able to speak to our new recruits and say, hey, you know what? This is what I've been through. You know, I'm looking to you to not do what happened to me, what happened to my family or my loved ones. And I'm telling you this through experience. And, you know, I feel like that should be an important part of policing in our community, where they get to hear that, especially when they're fresh coming in. They were a little bit kind of disregarding me on the first time. I think the second time it happened was a little bit more, I got to turn back, you know, they were all behind me. Like I'm looking at you, they were all back there. I got to look back and to talk to them and like say, hey, you know, I'm addressing you as a concerned citizen, that this is the experiences of our community. And not only are we hoping you're safe and you're taken care of, but we want you to not do what's been done in the past and to have a new way forward, because policing's changing, you know, and we want you to be a part of that change and be a part of the community, not a threat or a predator to our community.
Or a gang organizing to oppress, terrorize, and violate people's rights, because that's how they functioned. There's no lie about that. They function like that, especially with these little Back the Blue clan people that are actively trying to get Ron Burnell and doing their thing to get him in the mayor's position. It's really scary, but people need to know that that's who they are. That's their leader, and they want their town back. And if we don't vote and we don't stay active and pay attention to these in these spaces and show up, yeah, no, business as usual. But thank you, Frank. You, every time you go, I've been advocating for them to bring it back to Zoom, but unfortunately these sickos like to impersonate people, me being one of them, and waste time. They waste time. And it's unfair to people that are disabled, that are compromised because of their immune system. They cannot make it to these spaces. So where's their voice at? It's not there. They need to bring back Zoom. So, when I go on Monday, I'm going to advocate for that again, because we have the technology. We just need to create a standard where, look, if you're going to speak, you got to show your face. You can't hide behind a screen like how they like to do. Yeah, no, because there's seven commission members, 7 commissioners?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And they also have in their meetings the city attorney and the city manager.
Yes. And then the police chief, as we said earlier, we've seen their policies and procedures. And to me, I told them there that those are Mickey Mouse policy and procedure standards that they have, because we already know those were violated. There hasn't been like a robust, hey, look, to prevent this from happening, this is how we're going to identify as a premises. There's just so much more that hasn't happened that needs to happen. But we got to keep going. So I applaud you, Frank, showing up, you and everybody else that can make it. We make our rounds when we can. And speaking of Tamisha, she's like a speaker or something being honored. There's a really big event that our community should register for. It's called what is it?
I could look it up because I'm looking up stuff now.
Sweet. It's like, oh, she ready. That's the campaign. And there's amazing elected officials and community leaders. I saw they're going to honor Ade. Rest in peace to Ade. Another community leader from here in Antioch. But Miss Councilwoman Tamisha Torres Walker is one of the honorees. And many others. So it's going to be an empowering space. The event is free. I highly recommend everyone that wants to be part of this change and this bigger movement register and show up. There's a school board meeting Wednesday, the first school board meeting of the year. Yay! We left off with a lot of corruption and people not being held accountable. But these are the same Back the Blue crew that defended their blue line like there's no tomorrow, because these associates are embedded in our school district. And I hope that they get held accountable. I hope that they are no longer in positions of power, making $250,000. The superintendent made $250,000. She's on paid administrative leave. She's a coward. She was called out by for some investigative reporting about her letting her Back the Blue friend Kenneth Turnage get away with bullying their employees. This fool was already had to pay a big fine out of Alameda County for the things that he's doing in the city of Antioch now. So there's no reason why we should be contracting him and have him on staff and overseeing like a $2 million budget to see these projects through. These are professional money launderers, and they've been very cozy in their positions and what they do with resources. And the audit was pretty telling. So I invite y'all to please show up to the school board meeting. That's going to be on Wednesday, August 7th, 510 G Street. It's online also. It'll be in person. I'll be making my round there. And then we have a city council Tuesday. So it's the commission, police oversight commission meeting Monday, city council meeting Tuesday. We want more housing justice for our tenants and folks that are getting unjustly evicted. And then Wednesday is the school board meeting. And these are very important decisions in these spaces that are being made. And let's show up. What else can we do? I would love to not shut down, but show up to the sheriff's police training space on Highway 4. Sonia Macy's life was taken. Maybe we could do like a small moment of silence for her, like before we cut out, because that's just another example of a life that could have been saved had these disgusting, abusive killer officers been held accountable. They could have implemented some national policies, some federal policies, and that fool, that Army veteran that killed a woman that already had a history of abuse, he had already gotten through 6 police departments. He took a beautiful Black woman's life from in her home. This is just ridiculous. Oh yeah,
Hey.
you're cool. You're cool.
And that's kind of what we've talked about here numerous times here in Antioch is that police will violate rules, laws, department policy, and then rather than face discipline because that would be on their record, they quit before their discipline is enacted. And then, surprise, no discipline on their record. They get hired in Antioch or other locations, and they start over again, no discipline. But in reality, they were going to get disciplined tomorrow. In the case of Michael Malone, who's an Antioch police officer who killed Luis Gongora Pat. Yeah, he was cleared of any legal wrongdoing. They said, hey, you didn't break the law. You killed this man, but it's okay. You're not going to be criminally punished. But you did violate a couple of department policies. And for that, we're going to put you on what I understand was a 30-day suspension for violating department policy. And instead of facing that discipline, he quit the day before. So then no discipline on his record, and he's hired in Antioch. And as far as I understand it, that the fellow that killed Sonia Massey was also somebody that moved around to different departments, being number 6 where he was at the time he killed Sonia. So that's something we're looking at out here. And I think our city council put in place. This is something we're talking about on our police accountability committee meetings, which is separate from the city commission, is the policy and procedure that was put in place, I believe, was that the city would not hire an officer under investigation for wrongdoing or who is fleeing discipline. And hopefully we can get that to work retroactively. And later when we get to work on it, we can get Malone out of here for
that'd be great.
For quitting in the face of discipline. You know what? You mess up, you should face your discipline, become a better person because you're held accountable.
Right.
And you learn from I don't want to just call it a mistake because he took a man's life, but you should be able to learn from where you do wrong. And if you want to remain an officer, you face up to that, what you did. He wasn't going to be prosecuted criminally. It was just a suspension for violating department policy. Yet in light of that, he chose to quit his job and rehire someone else to avoid that accountability. And,
AKA a rubber bullet cop.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that we could, stop that from happening, which is quite a common occurrence.
Absolutely. I mean, if we want to talk about accountability, I would go as far as saying hold the former city manager accountable for letting all of these complaints slide. How many lives could have been saved? When those investigators came and they recorded everything I was saying, I said every one of those names of those families that reached out to the Justice Advocacy Group. I think it's like about 9 or 10, maybe even 12. Gave them all their names, and I hope that they look into every one of the records with those names on them. But these fools were miswriting reports. They were falsifying reports and entering them as John Doe and not giving the folks that they were violating their names on record. So there probably will never be these wrongs will probably never be righted, unfortunately. But I'm hopeful, Frank, that these things can be retroactive. I hope that the former city manager can be held accountable. The former police chief that bounced to Boise, Idaho, former police chief Tammany Brooks, that right before the DOJ arrived, bounced.
And before that was Alan Contando, who was involved in my original case where I basically got my ass beat by two cops, Chris Kent and Rick Hoffman, choked unconscious, kicked in the face, and my whole house torn apart and taken away to the hospital. And then when I got to the jail, I was attacked by the sheriff's deputies because I attacked the cops, they said, and nothing ever happened. I spoke out, and they were awarded, these two officers, Kent and Hoffman, were awarded Meritus Service Awards over the years, Officer of the Year. They were constantly recognized for doing good, even within a couple months of the city having to write a settlement check for my attorneys and myself and the two other people that were violated at my house. Even just a few months from that, Officer Hoffman was awarded like Officer of the Year, and they're just cutting checks to cover for his wrongdoing. And Contando was a part of that. To tell you the truth, Lamar Thorpe, and why am I blanking on her name? We love
Monica
her.
Wilson?
We care about her. Yeah, Monica Wilson. They were all there listening too, and they really couldn't get anything done because they were the minority. And I don't know if they really put a lot of effort into it, but as I spoke there over the years, 2009 until recently, really till 2020, nothing was ever done. And then the text message scandal broke. Before that, we elected Tamisha. Angelo Quinto was killed, and some change started to happen. But it literally took a decade plus.
No, the truly. And then that's just locally. We're not even covering the Oakland, the South, Texas, rural cities that freaking people like the Murdaugh family, where they run the show in their legal system. It is live and well in a county near you. But that's why we need to stay aware and stay vigilant of how these decisions are being made and what policies we need to protect the public, protect the people. Sonia Macy's life, her death could have been, that should not have happened. That fool should not have been in uniform, should not have had a badge, should not have been armed. Like, there is a debt that is owed. And I'm just, the only way that I'll feel better is if I go and shut down the sheriff's department over there off the freeway. That's the only way that I'll feel better. Like, that I could get off this like anger and frustration and pain that I feel, and I know many in it's re-traumatizing for our African American community to see this all over again. Sonia Macy's father was also murdered, or great grandfather. She's the descendant of someone that was also essentially lynched in the same.
Oh, he survived his lynching.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, she was related
1908.
There was like a mass attack in a town, and he was about to be lynched, but somehow he was freed and survived. Yeah.
You're sure about that? They didn't try to get him after?
I don't know about after, but I know that they originally were going to lynch him, and he was a survivor of a lynching.
Okay, because I want to say that I read that they did. I would love that story to be a win. Yeah, definitely look into that right now, because like I would love that to have been the outcome, because when I read what I read, I was like, oh, like, wow, like this is passed down, this hate and disgusting behaviors against our people in our community. ¿Qué más? It's just so sad. I just don't know what else we could do besides vote and keep raising awareness, and folks step forward. And it sounds crazy. This is like something from a movie. Everything that's Frank's talking about, his experiences, his lived experiences, what we've witnessed with these crazies and how well they organize. We're living in some we're making history, but we need to keep making that history and ensure that, you know, you mentioned Alan Cantendo. I didn't know he was the chief at the time when you experienced your first you know, beating. Like, that's disgusting. Community, I want the community to know, when you hear this, Alan Cantendo is the husband of the coward superintendent Stephanie Anello that is continuing to protect her people. So it's the same partnership, but in different institutions. You have the police, and then you have her in the school district. And believe me when I tell you, they use police officers to terrorize families and parents in the school district. I've seen records of multiple restraining orders that were placed to prevent families from being able to ask questions and come in and advocate for their kids. So there's also that culture of fear that, you know, if you speak up for your kids, you may get the police called on you, because she had them at her disposal. Stephanie Anello had the police at her disposal. They wanted to hire 6 resource officers for all the schools. And when that decision was being made, her husband was there, and he attacked local advocates, trying to stop them, because they wanted to, obviously, community wanted to disrupt this process. They wanted to make sure they got these 6 school resource officers during a time that there was already so much civil unrest and mistrust with the police department. And then in the schools, how disrespectful. So anyways, once we got our people, we got the majority of people for the people, and they rescinded that decision and did not allow that investment of a lot of money for just 6 school resource officers. We want counselors. We want resources. We don't want to criminalize the students. We want to essentially end the school to prison pipeline. They wanted to continue that, but we disrupted that. We stopped that. We campaigned against having more, I'm going to say, domestic terrorists in the schools, because they terrorized families. That's what they did. And we're never going to stop talking about it. I'm never going to stop talking about it. And these families that, when we created these safe spaces and they came forward, I do want to reconnect with them and make sure they're never forgotten, and there's justice for them, justice for our community, justice for everybody. And then hold these Back the Blue Clan folks that are here in the community accountable. That's all. That's all we want. I'm tired of supremacism. I'm tired of racism. I'm tired. And you know what? We can't change racist people. Racist people are going to race. They're going to laugh at us because we're black and brown. They're going to laugh at us because we may not be able to spell. I was laughed at because I did a typo. I was, these people do what they can to bring us down.
They'll pick on their little petty things because they don't really have any substance to tear us down because of what we actually do. They'll try to get your spelling, or they'll try to do something silly about people's appearance, a nose ring, long hair, stuff like that.
Status.
Hey, they'll even make wedding invitations.
They'll even.
That was pretty ridiculous too, I gotta admit.
I was like, she didn't even invite me.
I didn't even get my own invitation.
I should have been catering that.
But the reality is, y'all, that wedding invitation of me supposedly marrying the mayor also, to me, triggered like a possible assassination. Like, that's how crazy these, because they are armed. They do have weapons. I wouldn't put that past them. There was that guy that detonated himself. Remember, we had a bomb maker here in Antioch?
He was a repeat bomb maker, but the second time, I was there. It was weird because, like, the view that I had wasn't
you were
that
there?
good. Yeah.
Oh shit.
The view that I had, like, after, I didn't see the but I saw the body covered and all that. But they said, they put tape right there, and they were like, you really couldn't see. They said, you guys can't wait here, just a lot of news people. So I went and parked at the library, and the other side was the best view. So I was like, oh my God, they did me a favor. I mean, you couldn't see nothing.
He was right by a school, right?
Yeah,
It was
that one
right at
school.
the Live Oak High School parking
Yeah.
lot. Basically, he lived around the corner from Live Oak on F Street, and he ran wires basically out from his house to the field out there, basically directly across from the library in that big grassy field area where he was trying to detonate, and something happened. Yeah, and he
This
Yeah.
was during the Counselors Not Cops campaign that we did also.
Yeah, and then they were looking for other bombs and stuff because all the kids were right there. So yeah,
Thank
they
God no one was
brought
hurt.
dogs out.
I mean,
Yeah,
but himself, R.I.P. But thank God it was.
And I don't want to wrap us up too soon, but I know we're getting close to the end. I wanted to remind folks that
No.
I'm working on Full Circle still, and tomorrow, my one of our graduates of our program is returning to host the show,
All
and
right.
she's doing what she calls, I think it's called WOA, West Oakland to West Africa poetry. So I'm
Ooh.
actually going back to the station live, and we'll be live on the air tomorrow at 7 p.m. 94.1 FM if you're out and about in the car or on the radio, or kpfa.org. So if you're into poetry and you want to hear some great poets, actually, some of you might have met Zakia. She did some of the poetry at my cousin Timmy's memorial. She did some poetry at the Juneteenth in Concord 2 years ago. And she's just a well-known poet, Zakia G.E. Capehart. She'll be hosting the show. That's again tomorrow, 7 p.m. On KPFA radio or kpfa.org. And then if folks are looking for something to do Saturday, it might be a little bit out of town, but I'll be working at a great event in Oakland doing the sound called Cross Pollination. And it's the third event in a speaker series. And I believe this one's called
That's the last thing I
Protecting
knew.
the Land and Protecting the People.
Okay.
And they're going to have a little panel of speakers, and they'll have music. There'll be a not a flea market, but what do they call that? Like a little market, and vendors out there. And it's actually held at the gym called the Radically Fit Gym. And real quick about the Radically Fit Gym, it says we're an inclusive, fat positive, radical fitness space that works to be a safer alternative for community. We offer unique fitness classes for queer, trans, BIPOC, and bigger bodied folks. And so basically the gym is in the building, but outside they do the event, and you can go in the gym and check it out. And it's located at 1035 22nd Avenue, Unit 5 in Oakland, California. And that's tomorrow, noon to the evening, I think 5 o'clock. And again, vendors, speakers, protecting the land, protecting our people. And I'll be there all day. So if you want to come by and check it out, say hi to me, I'll be out there.
That's what's up. Go, Frank. Go, Frank. Keep us
Right.
connected. Let us know how it goes.
And let's make sure there's not going to be no pollen there, right? Because I'm trying to clear up right now.
I've been doing okay lately, but when you get closer to the Bay Area, you usually get a little bit better off. And bring a sweatshirt because sometimes it gets cold out there.
Yeah,
but the two last experiences have been great. And Cat Brooks was, or not Cat Brooks, but ATPT was in the first panel. And if folks that want to check it out, just go to We Rise. That's WE and then RISE, We Rise on Facebook and Instagram. And you can get all the details. And they've even posted the videos to the previous ones, or at least the first one. The second one, I don't think they posted yet. And the third one is going to be Saturday, and I'll be there doing the sound.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's exciting. I can't wait. We'll look out for that link and share it tomorrow, y'all. I'll share on my story, the link, and on my Facebook.
We'll put it on the Facebook East County Voices page too.
Yeah. We're missing Mary tonight. But we'll see her in the community. We always make our rounds. And I guess we'll wrap up in honor of Sonia Macy and all of the other lives, all the lives lost at the hands of police, but especially Sonia Macy out of Illinois, I believe it was. She was 37 years old. She was a mother. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, a cousin, and a niece, a granddaughter, a beautiful woman that had a lot to do, a lot to for her future. Thank you, Nugget. Yes, 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 yes.
I'm gonna check the door. And Patty, you were right. There, her grandfather, her grandfather did die in that hanging.
Her grandfather was lynched.
Wow.
So, you know, when we vote, when we get ready to vote, and you register and you see, you know, some beautiful Black leadership, that's where we're going. Justice for the families.
Right, right. Do you hear the music?
I do.
I don't hear it. I don't hear. Oh, now you're dancing. I can't even dance now to it. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I can't hear the music, so if I'm off beat, my bad.
No, you good.
But tune in again next week, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. East County Voices. If you haven't already, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and share. That's the only way we're going to get this out. So we can't do it without you. So we appreciate all those that have been watching. And we'll tune in next time, okay? Peace and God bless.